When I first started testing, it was a wild mix of automated tests in code and manual testing on the spot. I tested the things I just built and the things I just broke. Basically, I tested on the spot whenever the need arose. I call this episode the pain driven testing episode because I only tested when the pain of not testing was bigger than the pain of testing. As the teams I worked with got bigger, a mixture of developer driven and business driven tests emerged. Developer driven tests were usually unit tests and smaller integration tests that focused on hard to understand sections of the source code. Business driven tests were specified and executed in a freestyle manner by product owners and managers and stakeholders. These tests existed in feature or release documentation, things were totally disjoint, and regressions happened more often than one would wish for. As the teams grew ever bigger, dedicated testers entered the scene. They brought with them their own tooling, their own way of doing things, and their own documentation of their tests. Up until this point, my approach to testing was a purely reactive one. I wrote my unit tests, I wrote my integration tests, I did my manual testing on the side, and I let the other team members do their thing. When it came to developers, I encouraged them to write unit and integration tests as well, but that's as far as it got basically. During that time, the testing landscape was totally scattered. Everybody did their own thing, and this is something I see in many companies to this day. What this often means is that no single person is able to tell if the product is in a shippable state or not. There's so many test repositories, everybody does their own thing, and right before the sprint demo or even after, the test results are blurted out in the room or posted on Slack. As you can imagine, regressions are still likely in such a scenario. This problem is even more pronounced in big distributed teams where people can talk to each other all the time. Enter in remote development teams that take part of subsystems or specific feature areas, and you have yourself a pretty good mess. Having had all these problems over and over again and seeing the same patterns in multiple companies made me invest more time into researching how other companies go about testing. I started to learn about test case management systems. As the name suggests, these are specialized systems for managing and executing test cases. I took the ideas of these test case management systems and started to catalog the tests we had. By doing so, the tests got their own home and classification. Other colleagues started contributing too, and soon we had a pretty big repository of test cases that everybody on the team was able to use. We always kept the definition and the implementation of the tests separate. Doing that allowed us to mix automated testing with manual testing while still keeping track of what was tested, what wasn't tested, which tests passed and which tests failed. That way, we always knew the state of our product, what was working, what wasn't, what needed to be fixed, what could be ignored until the next release. That way, we always knew the state of our product. If things didn't work, we were able to inspect and prioritize. Overall, this system reduced the friction between team members and departments and increased the confidence in our products. In one organization, it helped break down the barrier between the testing and the development team. The testers had been kept separate before, but they were now being embedded into the development team. So let's recap. How do I keep track of my test cases? I keep unit tests and low-level integration tests directly in code and don't explicitly manage them. These tests ensure that the technical stuff is working. Business-driven tests are kept in a central catalog that is maintained by all team members, product managers, developers, testers. This catalog keeps track of everything that needs to be tested to ensure that the product is fully functioning. Some of these tests may be executed manually, some may be executed automatically. The catalog keeps track of which test uses which execution mode. I use whatever fits the project best to build the test catalog. I have used text files, spreadsheets, internal wikis, Notion, test case management systems. But how do you manage your tests? Do you test at all? Let me know in the comments. What are your biggest frustrations and obstacles when it comes to testing? How does your approach look like? I'd love to hear your stories. If you found this video helpful, I would appreciate it if you could give it a like and share it with your friends and colleagues. It would really mean a lot to me. That's it for today. I hope to see you in the next one. Until then, take care. Bye.